While the rest of America ground to a halt last week under a barrage of freakish winter storms, one place was in its element, Mount Baker in Washington state, a 2-hour drive from Seattle on the American Pacific Northwest. This tiny resort has achieved an almost mythical status in winter sport, as a breeding ground and haven for some of the best skiers and snowboarders in the world.
Every sport has got an ultimate goal, and snowboarding, that's no different. The goal being riding fresh powder. Now, some people have taken this to such a level that they're willing to travel hundreds of miles just at the whisper of a cloud formation or a weather pattern where it's going to dump. These people are Stormchasers.
You're enjoying summer, but once you start hearing the snowstorms are going in the northwest, you start realizing what's up, and you just flash back to your winter days and you're back on the snow. Even opening day in the first few days, the spirit of snowboarding wasn't back, but once the light powder hit, and got to make that real Baker Pal. Once the Baker Pal was here, and we knew it was a go.
Snowboarding has borrowed many tricks and terms from surf culture, and the phenomenon of storm chasing has long been a way of life for the hardcore community that searches for big waves across the world, from Iceland to California to Hawaii.
Cambridge Don Andy Martin travelled to the fabled North Shore in Hawaii last year to chase the after effects of El Nino. The conditions he chronicled in his book Walking on Water have achieved legendary status in a sport that rarely shies away from hyperbole. As storms and hurricanes pounded coastal areas around the Pacific, surfers were anticipating the biggest waves of the century.
Oh yeah, well, surfers were coming into Hawaii from all over the world. It is a kind of mecca, Hawaii. It's become kind of legendary. It is the epic place to go to. The biggest wave finally hit on Big Wednesday, generally 30-foot plus waves. Having waited and dreamed and fantasized about the biggest ever surf, on that particular day it was too big, and a lot of surfers had to pull back. And in fact, the Hawaii 5-0, the Hawaiian police, actually kind of outlawed surfing at Waimo Bay on the biggest ever day, which is kind of an atrocity for most surfers, unfortunately. It's the winter that actually generates the most intense conditions. And this is actually one of the ironies about the surfer outlook on meteorology, is that it's completely inverted view of the world, an all-person view of the world. I mean, if you remember all those reports of what was happening during the El Nino year, I mean, all the front page stories were all to do with death and disaster, the kind of havoc that El Nino, it was like a kind of rehearsal for the apocalypse or something. For surfers, it was that opposite. They were kind of rubbing their hands in glee. It was like surfer pornography, basically, and saying, God, I hope it's coming this way.
These days, whatever applies to the surf community can be easily translated to snowboarding. If Alaska is the Hawaii of the slopes, Mount Baker is the winter sports equivalent of the beaches of California. That same El Nino climate trend, based over the Pacific Ocean, is having a knock-on effect right across the USA. But it's in the northwest that snow conditions have been most extreme.
More than 478 centimeters falling in the last 14 days. We are off to an incredible powder season. In just the past 4 days alone, we've had 125 centimeters of new snow.
You've got to be A, very hopeful, and B, very mobile, I think. To some extent, where boarding is and snowfalls, you can almost wait until it happens. You know it's there. You get there as soon as possible. Hopefully it won't have melted by the time you actually get there. But in surfing, it's slightly different. You get to the place and nothing happens.
We have now had more snow in the first 2 weeks of ski area operations than at any other time in recorded history at Mount Baker.
Nothing much happens in Glacier for most of the year, but that's its charm. When the snows arrive, it comes to life. Baker was among the very first American resorts to open up its slopes to snowboarding.
As the season opened, word had spread and the slopes of Mount Baker looked like a who's who of world snowboarding, with top extreme rider Andy Hetzel joining local riders Tex Devenport and Jamie Lynn. Baker's unique terrain and conditions had once again been a magnet for the world's most respected snowboarders.
It's amazing the technology that people come up with when they're snowboarders who are looking for a storm. You know, they watch the Weather Channel all the time. Now they're getting on the internet a lot as a great source of information. And what I actually did this year is we were getting closer to opening date, and we were starting to get some more storms. I just got my email set up so that I had a whole group of, I think it was like 70 people that I emailed. And a lot of them were some people from California, some pros from California and Colorado and all that. And they had contacted me and said, you know, hey, let us know if Baker starts going off. And so I sent the message out. The first day I said, okay, you know, we're going to open on Sunday. And then 2 days later, I was like, get here now. We have 60 inches of new snow.
Oh, that!
It's funny because I actually spent 6 days on the North Shore of Oahu before I came here. So I literally got off the plane from Hawaii into
Contrast.
dead winter, you know, but it's great. It's like, I feel, it's like, my God, I'm just living the dream, you know?
With record snowfalls, I mean, it's a snowboarder's dream.
It really is really good.
How do you feel, you know, when you're kind of somewhere else and you hear that, you know, there's this amount of snow?
Well, I panicked. I heard I'd been calling the ski report for like a good week, just checking in, seeing how things were going, and then they said, we're in 24-hour hold, you know, we could open Sunday, Monday, and I got on a plane on Sunday, and I was here Monday morning, or Sunday morning, opening day.
Serious professional, so the guys who are sponsored, guys who base their whole life on it, are planning it non-stop all year round. The fact is, every winter is going to generate some extreme conditions. Up to a point, you know, science is going to help you. Satellite technology is going to help you. The internet is obviously a useful tool as well. All serious surfers are meteorologists to some extent.
I was at home in Idaho just watching the Weather Channel, and it was really building up out here, and so I just got on a plane at the last minute and bolted out to Seattle and drove up here.
There seems to be quite a lot of this storm chasing, as they're sort of calling it now.
It's just, you have to be on it to get it good. I mean, there's a lot of people that snowboard now, and on a day like today, you know, you're either here or you're not. And especially for a lot of the pros and a lot of the people that spend so much time traveling to contests in places that might have marginal conditions, you know, this is what it's all about. It's just to pull it together and make it happen.
Jamie Lynn's name has become synonymous with Baker. Having been brought up near Seattle, he has become Washington State's most famous snowboard export. Following in the tracks of another Glacier local, Craig Kelly, one of the original Burton riders, Jamie Lynn has helped open up the region to other snowboarders worldwide.
We've had people fly in, a lot of professional snowboarders, skiers, all of that have flown in from all over just to be here right now. It was kind of interesting. My sister Amy was up with Tex Devenport and Dave Lee and a couple of pro snowboarders. They were hiking out at the end of the day on Thursday, and all of a sudden they stop and they go, you know what? This could be the best day in the world, right here, right now, and we're here. And to think about that, everyone stop. Wow, you're right. Where else could it be better in the world for skiing and snowboarding right now in the world? And it very possibly could have been.
So back up in the mountains after about 6 months of being in the city. How you feeling?
Nervous. I'm a little bit apprehensive. You know what it's like. Nervous, but really excited.
I've forgotten all my tricks from the end of last season, but the snow looks absolutely fantastic. the lift's just around the corner, so excuse us, but we're going to just have to go. We're going to have to go and go snowboarding.
Contest in the world. The contest doesn't have prize money, but still attracts the world's very best riders each year. But the mountain itself is something of an anomaly. Unlike other extreme centres like Chamonix in France or further north in Alaska, the very summit of the Baker Resort sits at just over 5,000 feet, base level for most other resorts. But the mountain receives an astonishing annual average snowfall of 600 inches, 50 feet of snow each year. This season, the amount of snow that would have normally have fallen by the end of January arrived before Christmas.
Now, you have had record snowfall, 10 feet in a week. Now, there's no way that you could have prepared for that.
Well, no, there isn't. Mother Nature just throws it at you and you deal with it. But here at Mount Baker, we get the most snow of any ski area in North America. A couple years ago, I remember literally it snowed for 40 days and 40 nights here at Mount Baker. So we've been there before, but to have it happen this early in the season and in a matter of days, we went from bare ground here with, you know, blueberry bushes showing and that type of thing to absolutely snowed in where we had all the snowcats running. We were blasting dynamite to start for avalanches, all of that within literally a matter of days.
Last week we featured World Extreme Ski Champion Chris Devenport in Aspen, Colorado. And while Aspen is one of North America's central points for the new free ski movement, Baker for years has been breeding snowboarders who take their trade to the steeps and gullies of Alaska. One of them, Tex Devenport, headed back to Baker as soon as he heard about the anticipated storms. Now, when it comes to knowing this mountain, there's really only one person to turn to, and that's the man sitting next to me, Tex Devenport. Lives down in Glacier, been riding for about 13 years, and knows this place like the back of his hand, I guess.
Yeah, it's been my home mountain now. See, this is going on the 9th year that I've been here, and it's pretty much my backyard.
But I guess you still ride pretty extreme, whatever you do, because you're known as quite an extreme rider.
Yeah, most of the time I tend to just scout out the powder, look for the soft spots. I still enjoy riding kickers, jumping, and it's all here too, So you get a good all-around training before you go anywhere else in the season. There's lots of good powder here, especially now. I think this is our best season we've ever had as far as early season goes. So everyone's really excited. More and more friends are coming to Baker, so it's another family reunion.
It seems to be everywhere I turn. I've only been here 2 days, but everywhere you turn there's another pro rider, which normally if you'd gone to any other resort there'd be kids all over you wanting autographs.
Yeah, not here. It's pretty low key, and most of the people I know I was friends with before I became a pro rider.
When do you normally get snow? When can you normally ride here?
We almost always open before Thanksgiving.
Because we don't celebrate anything like
You guys don't eat turkey?
I don't eat turkey at all.
I don't either. I just eat ham.
All right.
But whenever that day is, I'm not sure.
The POW, or fresh powder snow, is as far away from Greenpeace conditions as you can find. The pro riders who have travelled to Mount Baker make their living wherever free riding is at its best, on photo and video shoots rather than on the competition circuit.
I'm real lucky. I don't have to go do all those contests. I'm not like on the tour where I'm, you know, I mean, there was a time when I did that, but I just chase storms and go to Alaska in the spring, and I'm really lucky in that I get to do what I love in snowboarding, and that is ride mountains.
Sometimes you forget how good it is, you know, especially with the hustle and bustle of being in photo shoots, catching planes and missing the snow and whatnot. It's just nice to wake up, get in your truck and drive a few minutes up to Baker knowing that it's on, that you're going to get the POW.
The best known of all the locals and the snowboarder who most experts would pick as their #1 rider is Jamie Lynn. Jamie is one of the new breed of snowboard professionals travelling the world riding and surfing all year round. And in most venues, including this appearance at the Innsbruck ski jump last year, he gets the full DiCaprio-style reception.
I am a competitive person, but only within myself, to prove myself when I get in that environment. If that jump was anyplace else in the world on a mountain, I would love to take the time to do it. It's pretty hard at that particular contest because there is so many people, and all you see is this 100 yards of icy takeoff, and then you just see the lip of the jump, and then 20,000 heads screaming out in the crowd, and it's pretty intimidating.
It's hard to be a rock star in Washington State. There's a lot of rain. You're not out there, you know, showing yourself off on the beach or anything like that. Everybody just kind of sits at home, does their own thing. You know, you get together every once in a while.
But something I've noticed about this resort, about Baker, is that everyone, no matter how big and famous they are, is just another rider on the slope. Why is that about him? Why is it so special?
You know, boy, I've actually thought about that a lot, because a lot of my friends that I've met through traveling who come up and visit Baker, pretty much everyone comments on it. They notice it. They notice the fact that there's not a lot of competition between skiers and snowboarders. Everybody just goes out and does their thing. And you know, when I'm riding single at the chair with some, you know, grommet snowboarder or whatever, and they see Jamie Lynn or one of the other guys just blast off a cornice and do some amazing thing, they're just stoked out of their skull, you know. But they don't go and try and follow them around the mountain and hound them or anything. Everybody is just, there's such an atmosphere of, it's a non-circus atmosphere. Nobody's here to show themselves off or, you know, wear their new outfits or anything like that. Everybody's just here to ride.
You spend so many days just kind of sliding around on hardpack, and that's only so fun, you know. It's just like surfing, that, you know, you're gonna put the time into it to make the commitment to chase it and get great surf, or kind of flounder around in marginal conditions. And, you know, if you're dedicated, then you want to make it happen and get up here. I mean, snowboards were originally designed for powder and not necessarily for ski areas. So, I mean, it's really kind of more to the roots of the sport, and it's the essence of the sport is riding powder.
Why snowboarding?
A friend of mine brought one home. He had a half pipe in his backyard, and we'd go after school and go skateboarding there. And he had one in his living room, and we strapped into it and jumped around and on his couches and all over his living room on the chairs. And it seemed like an extension of skateboarding with a board attached to your feet. And all the tricks that I ever dreamt of doing with my skateboard on a vert ramp, I could do on a snowboard with that snowboard strapped to my feet. And when I actually got up to the mountains and was able to try it and see how fun and exhilarating it was going down the mountain on this board, I was hooked from there. You know, from then on, that's all I thought about. The opening days when you get together with your friends and you drive up late at night You know, you sleep on the couch and you're up by 5 o'clock in the morning because you're so excited for the day to come. And you have all your stuff laid out and your boards waxed up and ready to go. And then you get up here and you get snow like this and you just can barely contain yourself.
Jamie Lynn is, I think at least all of my friends on the mountain, we voted him the sweetest snowboarder on earth, because he's from day one, from the time he was a little kid and we first met him, he always had just a great attitude. You could see how much he loved the sport and loved the mountains, enjoyed doing what he was doing. And the amazing thing to me is that from the time that we first met him to the time now where he's so incredibly famous and well-known, and deservedly so for his abilities, that he's maintained that sweetness and just genuine niceness and interest in people that he's known and the mountains in general.